Hello, and welcome to this special episode of Meet the Griffer. Let me start by expressing my gratitude to Luke Seerveld for this opportunity to guest host his show. I'm Noël Ramos, and many folks call me MacGyver due to all the many hats I wear on set, both in front of and behind the camera. In front of the camera, I have worked as a spokesperson and actor in short films, features, commercials, and industrials. As a director, I've worked on short films, industrials, and over 30 infomercials to date. I've also had the privilege of working in the art department on films such as Crypto, starring Kurt Russell, and many more projects for which I have designed and built sets and props. However, I probably spend most of my time in G&E, specifically on independent productions. As a griffer, I work on projects as diverse as newbie filmmakers' short films, all the way up to big-budget corporate interview videos at Fortune 200 companies in New York City. Or maybe I'm on set in Boston helping a Predator film an industrial video. Sometimes I'm in Connecticut, griffering for a state of Connecticut public service announcement. When I told Luke about my recent experience as griffer on an independent feature film for which we used aperture lights controlled by the Sidus Link app, I mentioned to him that for me, it was a game changer. That led to my being invited to speak to you about it on his show. While I certainly enjoy creating effective lighting for the projects I work on, admittedly, gaffer is not my main area of expertise. I have been getting much praise for my work in that area, however, and especially on this recent feature film. In my opinion, I owe a lot of it to Aputure's powerful and easy-to-use lights. They made it possible for me to light the scene exactly the way the director wanted. The whole project was a great pleasure, and working with the Aputure environment was pure fun. I've used and been impressed by Aputure lights before, but this was my first experience with an entire system of various lights, all simply controlled by a touchscreen pad. It was liberating. No more hoofing out to each fixture for minor tweaks. So much less time wasted when adjustments to multiple lights can be made with the touch of a slider. The app and the connectivity were nearly bulletproof and worked for us in all sorts of conditions. I was especially happy when the rain came and I didn't have to slog out into the inclement weather and lower the 600D just to make minor tweaks. All it took was the tip of my finger. I was one happy griffer. Speaking of weather, that's another worry that Aputure effectively eliminated for me. The 600D is so weather resistant that I felt totally confident having it lofted outside in the drizzle. Of course, I still gave it and its control box a cello rain hat, but the peace of mind that the moisture-resistant design gave me meant one less thing to worry about. Inside, a combination of Aputure fixtures gave me all the flexibility I needed to light any scene we were filming. The Nova was a real workhorse, an RGB powerhouse. I even lofted it outdoors at times. Likewise, the Amaran with a softbox was another go-to for me, and also a real workhorse. Aputure MC Mini lights and the versatile T2C tubes were huge. I used them for all sorts of effects and fill. The B7C did a fine job of replacing a practical, and having it on the Sidus Link was super handy. All this recent work I've been doing with LED light technology, featuring heavily in the success of each project, leads me to believe that Aputure's cutting-edge design is helping a rapidly growing segment of content creators, who now have access to high-end lighting technology that is within reach of their budgets, time and space constraints, as well as their learning curves. If I'm any indication, then there are a lot of other happy griffers out there right now, getting professional results from these extremely effective lights and their accessories. All these projects are so much more within reach and logistically possible because of the new LED lighting technology. Lighter, cooler, smaller, more energy efficient, more affordable, more functionality, and simpler to use. Plus, remote control made easy with the Sidus Link. It's opening up high-end video productions to a growing area of content creators. To confirm this idea, I spoke to an expert. Daniel Colmenares works for Aputure and gave me the benefit of his expertise for this special episode. I asked Daniel if he agrees that Aputure is empowering more content creators than ever before.
Yes, I absolutely agree. And that is by design. We saw that there was a growing market of content creators, people who were not being traditionally marketed to or listened to. We went after these markets, these emerging markets, these new content creators, because content creators are here to stay. People are creating more and more content. The ability to create content, the barrier of entry for content creation is so much lower than it was even 10 years ago. And so we create tools that enable them to begin their journey, whether they're beginners, high-end filmmakers, or high-end content creators, because that is a separate entity, right? There are entire YouTube channels that are now employing 20, 30, 50 employees and are generating millions in revenue, who are creating content every day. We want to create tools that enable and empower those people to create the content that they're making.
Thank you so much, Daniel. Would you please give us your title and tell us a little bit about what you do at Aputure?
Yes, I'm the North American Sales Director for Aputure Lighting, and beyond dealing with our dealer network, making sure that our product is in stock throughout the country here in the US and Canada, I'm deeply involved in the training and educational aspects that we do here at Aputure. I do outreach to educational communities, as well as to professional filmmakers, indie filmmakers, videographers, wedding photographers, and to educate and to help out on productions when needed. Before we get any further, I would like to thank you, Noel, as well as Luke, for giving me the opportunity to come and to meet the Griffer and talk to you guys. I've been a huge fan of the show. I think that Luke's content, as well as Andrew Luck's with Gaffer and Gear, they're the two premier YouTube channels when it comes to educating professional users in professional fixtures and professional issues. And I have been a fan of the show for a long time. One of the big perks of getting to work at Aputure here was actually getting to be in contact personally with Luke as well as with Andrew. So thank you for the opportunity.
You're very welcome. We are very happy to have you here with us. So can you tell me a little bit more about Aputure and how the company got started, and what do you think the main factor in terms of their growth is and was?
Aputure Lighting has been around much longer than people realize. I think as a company, we've been around for over 20 years. We started making not just LED lights, but they were also making LED monitors at one point, macro ring light flashes for photography. The owner of the company, the CEO and one of the co-founders, is a huge photography advocate and amateur photographer. And so he wanted to find a manufacturer, someone that was making accessories and items for photographers and for filmmakers that were affordable. I hated the fact that if you are a powerful corporation, a high-end professional, someone with money and means, that is the person that is most likely to get a discount when they walk into a store. They're getting 20, 30, 40% discounts off of list pricing. And what that really does is it keeps the product out of the hands of the indie filmmaker, the person that does not have the means. And it didn't make sense to him that the persons that were in the best place to actually spend money got the best deals, and those that were actually struggling and getting started in the career actually were the ones that were more likely to pay list price. His idea was democratizing filmmaking for everyone. Those were some of the founding philosophies for Aputure. As we grew, part of the reason we become so big so fast, we were kind of seeing what products would work, what products didn't work. And it wasn't until I think around 2012 or 2014 that we started creating our own lights under our own brand. And that's really when you saw our profile take off. And part of that is really due to Ted, who's our other founder here in North America, and his vision and what he saw as an underrepresented market, the content creators of the world, the YouTubers, the Instagrammers, now the TikTokers. Nowadays, we're kind of in this golden age of content, right? Not only is there some fantastic content being created in YouTube and Instagram, but also in all the different streaming formats. So the quality of the content, the ability of filmmakers to make films has risen exponentially. The line has blurred. And so the tools have blurred as well, right? And as technology takes over different aspects of filmmaking, it allows that technology grows, it gets better, it creates, it gives more opportunity to more people to jump into this field.
If you can talk about the point in time where you think LED light technology turned the corner from kind of like a novelty to this is some serious gear.
I think the most important point in the history of LED technology to where it got us today is the introduction of the 120D. The idea of a point source being able to be an LED light. Until that point, LEDs were really only panels or on-camera lights. Those were interesting tools, but they were not revolutionizing lighting and traditional lighting the way having a point source, something that could replicate a Fresnel lens, a tungsten fixture. The moment that came along, that's the moment that the LED revolution really took off. And then I think the last part that really brought us to where we are, what really differentiates everything, was the invention of LEDs that can do color. So are these RGB WW LEDs that can create all these different color washes. It suddenly went from LEDs emulating traditional tools and trying to do it trying to give a small benefit, to LED lighting providing a unique tools kit and tool set that filmmakers did not have access to prior to LED technology.
I'm a huge fan of mini lights, and that seems to me to be the next big shift in LED lighting technology, from larger fixtures to smaller fixtures, especially for new media content creators. Does Aputure agree?
I absolutely agree. I think mini lights are amazing. And I think that you're correct. I think that in this market, we're seeing a need for higher and brighter and lower and less bright, but still very useful and small. So you have this push over towards the extremes, right? You still need the big lights to light large spaces, but with camera technology becoming as fast as it is in the current trends in shooting very dark and, creating very moody scenes, having LEDs that can dim down quite a bit and being able to provide that kind of granular control becomes very useful. And portability is always king. So I agree, and we're going to continue to release more and more small form factor LEDs that fit that need.
So Daniel, I am loving your setup over there. It looks amazing, and I'm assuming it's lit by Aputure. So tell me a little bit about how you set yourself up there.
Of course. Well, in a different life, I was a cinematographer and have done a little bit of griffing. So once the opportunity came to come on the show, I couldn't just pop up the computer monitor, the laptop screen and just be on lit. We're a lighting company. So I had to make sure that the setup looked pretty nice. So we have my FS7 here in the background. We have our Deity microphone for podcasting, and then I'm being lit by a 600D just here a little bit to the right off camera. And we have a T4C just adding a little bit of fill. And just to give you an idea of what we're doing, I'm just going to go ahead. I have them all linked to my iPad. So this is what the room looks like naturally. There's a little bit of daylight coming into the back here of the stage. This is the key light right here. I have it down to about 23%. So, it can go much brighter. Let's see here. Oh, it's actually 5%. So this is what 100% on the 600 looks like. This is actually where we're going. We're at 5% with that. And then we had the T4C just to add a little bit of hair light, separate me from the background. A little bit warmer than tungsten, a little bit of an orange color. And just that's down to 23% here. So just adds a little separation, a little three-dimensionality to the set here.
And you're controlling all of this remotely.
Yeah, I'm doing everything through our Sidus Link right here. So all of our lights have a built-in Bluetooth transmitter receiver. And so, we want to make sure that no matter who you are, you're able to control our lights wirelessly, right? This was the realm, especially when I was coming up, I didn't always get a DMX programmer or a board operator to come in and control all my lights remotely. I'm having to run up or send my gaffer out or, Griffer, because most times I'm working maybe with a team of 2, possibly 3 for G&E, if I'm lucky, and just running up ladders and, trying to change things around. Now we can just do it all with an iPad and move forward. It's not going to replace DMX. That's never been the plan. But for indie filmmakers, I say for non-live productions, I think that Sidus Link is a perfect alternative. And it's something that we've been so happy to bring to the table. We've dreamed about this from the beginning. Even our 120Ds had little 2.4 gigahertz remotes. So you could sit there with the remote and control the different lights from the screen. This is just that evolution of how to empower that independent filmmaker to be more efficient and to get more done.
Daniel, I'm a member of your Aputure user group on Facebook, and I got to tell you, I'm enjoying it immensely. So what was the impetus to start that group, and how has it been working out for you?
Well, thank you so much for saying those things. We do put a lot of effort and resources into that group. Ted is in there, I'm in there, Brandon is in there. Some of the very top key members of Aputure regularly in that group, making posts and answering questions. The impetus was really Ted. Again, the DNA of this company is about education and empowering filmmakers, and it was a way to be able to have a centralized location for our customers and prospective customers to come and ask questions and get answers. We give reviews on people's setups and advice and suggestions, and the idea is to grow with our users and to help educate them. We create a lot of content that is out there to help filmmakers be better filmmakers. Thank you so much for having me on. We really appreciate it here at Aputure, and me personally for getting to be on Meet the Griffer.
Daniel, this has been an incredible pleasure and a privilege. I want to thank you for your time. Before we leave you, would you be so kind as to give any advice you might have to all the griffers out there?
Absolutely. My advice to griffers out there is to always be learning, never stop learning. The moment you stop learning is the moment you start stagnating. And don't be afraid to mix things up. Use the time and the jobs that you are getting to work on your craft and grow. Looking at others for inspiration, one advice I would give is look at your own work. I think it's something that we all fall into. We don't want to see our own work. We see everything that we don't like about it, but it's hard to grow if you're not looking at to where you've been. And this is something I used to struggle with. Look at your own work with fresh eyes and think about how you would do things differently. And my last piece of advice is don't forget, this is a business. So take some business administration courses, some communication courses. The biggest difference I see between highly successful filmmakers and those that are struggling to break into that highly successful level is often not creativity or skill. How able are they to communicate and manage people? Because as you grow in your profession, you're going to be managing teams. And not only you're managing teams that are direct reports to you, but you're also answering to teams that are above you. So having that ability to communicate efficiently and properly with these teams and be able to fix what the actual problems are on set and stay cool, it really is going to level up what you do in the projects that you're working on.
I'd like to thank Daniel Colmenares and Aputure for all their assistance with this episode. I'd also like to thank Luke Searveld once again for letting me fill in for him. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss a single episode of Meet the Gaffer. Thanks for watching, and keep the lights on.